Hey everybody, this is Brandon Youst of the Urban Farm Academy, and we're going to introduce our book, The Bootstrap Farmer Guide to Farming the Future. And this was written by myself, Nick Burton, with an intro by Michele Madison of Farming the Future, and an epilogue by Wyeth Marshall, who works with Harvard and Cornell, working on his PhD. And what this book is really our vision for the future, where we see things headed in small farming and sort of just agriculture in general. And we just really feel like the future it's ever niching down, and industries are being combined. New products are coming on, new jobs and new skills are coming on. And we see these trends, and we have been part of creating these trends in the fact that Nick ran a salad subscription business a few years ago before he joined Bootstrap Farmer. And I own the Craven Local Food Market, where it's basically a meal plan where we switch out jars with our client base every week. So we grow it, we cook it, we deliver it, and we rinse and repeat that on a weekly basis. And another business that we're helping incubate down here in North Carolina is called Seed to Shaker, which is just a way to start a farm on a very small budget, on a very small space. And what Chris Davis is doing is creating mocktails from the herbs that he grows and making drinks out of them. And he's getting about $8 per drink at the farmer's market. We're working on building a client base out there, and it's leading to other opportunities. We just had a pretty big party the other day of around 300 people that he was just whipping drinks out for. So, the last couple of months he was doing the farmer's market, and, it's winter times. He took a step back from that. That's when the events started coming in. So 2020 should be a much bigger year for Seed to Shaker and the Craven Local Food Market. Those are just two examples that we mentioned in this book, as well as a lot of other opportunities in small farming and farm fusion, combining industries, that whole thing. And you'll really come to understand what we mean by all that by the time you finish hearing this book. So what we're going to do here is we're going to play the intro that Michele Madison did, and then we're going to follow that up with my part and then Nick's part, and then we have a combined part the end, and then Wyeth will finish it up. And we're going to play this over multiple days so you don't get it all at once. It can be a lot to take in all at once. So we're just going to make multiple podcasts out of this. I hope you enjoy. If you have any thoughts or questions that you have that come to mind when you're listening to this, feel free to reach out to us at admin@urbanfarmacademy.com. I'm looking forward to the conversation. So with that said, here is our book, The Bootstrap Farmer Guide to Farming the Future.
Picking yourself up by your bootstraps, no matter your age, background, or limitations. Welcome to the beginning of new ideas, projects, friends, and accomplishments. Whether you've already made that big, scary commitment to a life in agriculture, or you're still playing with the thought in your mind, afraid to leave the path you were told to follow, you have found a good place to start. Here, you are among great company. The creators of this book are dynamic, passionate entrepreneurs who, like many, wanted more, but like so few, actually did something about it. Brandon and Nick are people I am honored to know and work with. We are happy to have you here and to share our stories and knowledge to help expand and promote the urban farming movement. Life is a beautiful thing made up of all of our experiences. Communicating and sharing them is crucial to the success of this rapidly expanding industry. You being successful makes it easier for us all to be successful. Each day, barriers are being broken and walls are coming down around urban farming, making access to healthier, more sustainable food no longer a dream, but a goal. The seeds were planted years ago by those who we consider the legends in this industry, but they have now grown into saplings and need the next generation of agriculturalists to follow them in growing into the powerful timbers they will become. This industry is comprised of many different people from many different backgrounds who took urban farming, its mission and goals, and interpreted it into their own vision. Urban farming consists of everything from indoor hydroponic vertical farms, restaurants, mushroom farms, food trucks, aquaponics, education, outreach, business development, product design, microgreens, film and marketing, to rooftop farms and climate-controlled greenhouses. You want it, urban farming has it, and it doesn't care what you look like or where you come from. The way things have been done are beginning to change. Commercial monoculture, as it currently resides, is unhealthy for us and unsustainable for our planet. and the masses are beginning to recognize that. How we grow our food and the way we live our lives is where the opportunity is for us. The future of farming is coming. It may seem impossible for you now, but believe me, if my 4'11" frame can get involved and see the light, you can too. As a young girl, I was raised by a single mother who had 2 daughters and no education. Growing up, we bounced between whichever family members would take us in, whether that meant being in Florida or traveling across the state border. It was difficult for my mother to get a job because she didn't have a college degree. She had stopped working when she attempted to live up to the expectation of raising a happy family by getting married and having children. We had just enough to get by. I grew up thinking that there were only a few options: either become an attorney, work in a cubicle for a corporation, or flip burgers at McDonald's. Being the young girl I was, I looked at my circumstances and thought, I'll know I made it if I get my own cubicle. I wasn't from a wealthy 2-parent home with tutors and math competitions. While in middle school, I worked in a grocery store and shared a room with my mom to help pay the bills. My mother raised me with the constant, go to school, get educated so you never have to live like this. So I focused on school, thinking that that college degree would score me that security of a cubicle job. When I was getting closer to graduating from high school, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. I finished my last year in high school in a program called Hospital Homebound, where I took my classes over a phone and conference calls. Life to this point seemed hard and unending. I was in and out of the hospital, sick and miserable, wondering what the point was if life was just so awful all the time. Not long after this diagnosis, I realized I was going to continue to wake up every day like this. However, at 19 years old, I decided not to accept this fate. I enrolled into college and through a mindset shift, turned my struggles into motivation and my insecurities into drive. Here I am a few years later doing more than I could have ever imagined at that time. The disadvantages haven't gone away, but my approach towards them has. If we accomplish anything in this book, it's our desire to add a bit of fire into creating this approach and mindset for others through relating our experiences. I discovered many things along the way. The first being, life was full of exciting things I never knew existed, and I didn't want to miss out on any of it, with the second being science. I went from living in a world where that's just how it is, to a world where I was curious about everything. I felt empowered to learn things, not just for the sake of passing a test, but for my own sake. This felt exciting and interesting, and led to a new sense of empowerment that I can improve over time and do something about my situation. I was waiting tables when I saw my first aquaponics system, and I just knew. I didn't know what it was, but I saw my future. It could feed people. I could feed people. I could help people get better food and teach them science at the same time. How, though? I never thought I was one of those natural, smart, science-y people. So I fought to prove myself. I read articles, watched videos, tore down systems, and rebuilt them. If there was something in the trash I thought I could use for a system, you bet your bottom dollar I dumpster dived right in and brought that piece of buried treasure home with me. I am a 4'11" blonde girl weighing 100 pounds, don't have a degree, and people still write me off or assume I am just the helper. None of this matters. I work harder, I do more, study more, try more, and never stop. And along the way, I prove those people wrong. I fell in love with the ability to be creative with materials, to build something so absurdly bigger than myself. I loved understanding the biological mechanisms behind it and the possibilities the systems provided. Plus, it was a good thing that they grew food, because if I wasn't growing it, I wouldn't have been able to afford it. I had bootstrapped from the beginning. When aquaponics was going to be what I was going to do, I had to make money somehow. I did the traditional things. I sold the produce I grew in markets and did local events for exposure and outreach, dreaming that by selling enough, I would build up a portfolio to get investors to build a ginormous aquaponic facility. Because that's how it works, right? As time went on, however, I started to notice gaps in the local food system. There were all these farmers markets with local producers selling their goods to local people purchasing their goods. Great. Except to support yourself farming, you have to make a profit. To make a profit, you have to sell at a higher cost than even that at the grocery store. It seemed the people at the farmers markets were not the same people who need the increase in accessibility to fresh food. In fact, those people couldn't even get to the markets because most markets are located in upper income areas far enough away that those in need would have to drive there. Except they can't. Even if they could, they couldn't afford the produce anyway. This shattered my view of what I thought of the local movement, pretending to be good for people, helping, providing access to locally grown food, but it wasn't available to the masses. I stopped selling, I just started giving it away. I didn't make that much money anyways. I didn't know how to solve this problem at the time, so pivoting didn't feel like a failure. It became practical. It was clear to me that a lack of education was at the heart of this failure, because farming is, or should, be accessible to everyone. More local farms equals more local food. This creates economic opportunities and empowerment, but it needs to start with education. I found that I loved doing events educating people on the how and why of aquaponics, and soon enough, teachers were reaching out for a system to use to teach aquaponics. In theory, aquaponics is a perfect tool to teach science. I decided to take the lead in building a curriculum by teaching the students myself. Through this process, I realized that there was an opportunity to make a difference. I found a way to get food access to those who really needed it, while also providing engaging education in STEM, agricultural, and career education. Not only sharing a passion of mine with young students, but to show them there is another way of life, a way I wish I knew when I was their age. Getting to build and create aquaponics systems that feed and educate in multiple different schools and facilities, reaching more people, has been more rewarding than I have ever thought. My company, Farming the Future, is on its mission to make the world a better place. There are many different approaches to urban farming. The ultimate deciding factor is your own level of dedication. You are capable. You can do it.